Our first fascinating talk today is from Robert.
Well, how are y'all doing? Welcome to Dallas Makerspace. So, I'm going to start off with a little bit about the history of Dallas Makerspace. We started off doing robotics. We had a lot of robotic fighting leagues. We had brought all these people together, and well, we had a robot club, DPRG. From there, we came together and we got our first building and we called it Dallas Makerspace. It was around 1,500 square feet. Then we moved to a 3,000 square feet and then a 6,000, and now this building, which is 17,000 square feet. So that's been over the last 5 years. Okay. The next thing is we really came together in this building. This is where, oh my gosh. Okay, just a second. All right, so this building, we started with around 300 members, and now we're around 1,200 members, which is pretty awesome, very exciting. And we're really excited for what the future is going to hold. Who's been to Dallas Makerspace before? Okay, so for those that haven't, I'll give you kind of an introduction, and we'll do tours, towards the end of this event. But we have a 3D fab where we have 4 SLA printers, ADM, I don't know, FDM printers, FDM printers, 3D scanners available. We're looking at doing some new, the Form 2 printer. It's going to be the next thing on the horizon. We have an electronics lab, all the oscilloscopes, the power supplies, the test equipment. We just brought in a National Instruments virtual bench tonight, so that's going to be up and running. The next rooms we have is our kind of our co-working areas where everyone has their laptops, which is really cool. Who has the fastest internet, you think, in this room right now? Anyone? What do you got? What are you rocking?
10 gigabit.
10 gigabit? Inside? You win. You got to beat. All right, no, we got 500 megs here, which is pretty awesome. 500 megs symmetrical. So we do a lot of streaming events. You'll see a lot of broadcasting and uploading and downloading around here, which is very awesome. The next rooms, we have a AV lab, which we have a lot of cool things going on. We're trying to do a ton of new classes around AV. We're trying to start recording all of our events that we do here at the Makerspace, and that's really coming along nicely. The next thing we have is a creative arts room, which they are into anything and everything. I've kind of lost track with those guys, but they're doing sewing, knitting, painting, photography. I've lost track with everything that they're doing over there, but if you guys are interested in that, you should definitely go check them out. We have an awesome wood shop, which we have almost every wood shop tool you could imagine, except for a big planer, which is what Alex is still wanting. And we have a metal shop that's coming along, so if you ever need any welding, MIG, TIG, arc, stick, we have that available. From there we have an automotive area. If you saw the big lift, there's a bunch of tools. Everyone's having a great old time over there. We have a race team. If anyone wants to look into joining our race team, Dallas Makerspace Motorsports, they are welcome to. From there we have machine shop, where there's a lot of mills, any sort of precision metalworking. You can go there. From there we have ceramics and glass fusion and all sorts of fun stuff. Anything with smelting, making pottery, and anything with high heat really goes on over there. From there we have small metals and jewelry, so anyone wanting to do fine jewelry casting, anyone wanting to do really precision work, they have a lot of cool tools over there, and I'd highly recommend you go check them out. Vector Pinball, they're over at TPF, anyone know? Texas Pinball Festival going on right now. So that's also going on this weekend, so if you're in town for this, definitely go check that out as well. We have science, which science is doing a lot of biohacking and a lot of bio classes right now, which is really interesting. Oh, prosthetics. Yeah, they're doing prosthetic arms. Pretty cool stuff with that. trying to think, make sure I haven't forgot anyone. Oh, laser. Yes, laser. We are doing some really cool stuff with the laser. So currently we have a full spectrum and a epilogue and a laser soar. We have
What
one.
are those? What are those things?
Okay, so we have one small laser, which is our epilogue.
Laser what does it do?
Oh, CO2 laser.
Which is a cutter.
Yeah, it's a cutter, and we cuts our acrylic, it cuts wood, anything non-metal can be cut by the laser. They're 120 watts. The two big ones are 120 watts. The epilogue, I believe, is 40 watts. Okay, 30 watts. We have a new one on its way from China right now. So it should be here by the end of the month, hopefully. Maybe next month, somewhere around there. It's on a boat. We'll see. That one's going to be massive. By far the biggest laser cutter I've ever seen in my life. I believe our laser cutter can fit inside of the other laser cutter. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And that's kind of an intro into Dallas Makerspace. Any quick questions? Anyone? All right, so we'll do a tour later where you can go all the way around the building as soon as the lightning talks are over. Perfect.
Thank you so much to Robert. Up next is Dave Anders, and he's going to get set up on deck. I'm going to kind of announce who's coming next and then who's on deck so that on deck person can get ready. So Bradley McCurran is on deck. A couple things that I wanted to say. You know, Robert just told you all the cool things you can do here and all the cool tools that you can do here, and mentioned that there's 1,200 members. But what he didn't mention is the reason it's so cool, the reason they have all those tools, the reason they have all those people is because of the community here. So there's a ton of people that know how to build things, that know how to use all these tools, and are really excited about getting together with you and helping you learn how to do that, helping you learn the skill, the gap that you have on getting your project finished. So it's a really great community to get to be a part in. I always like to say Hackaday stands for the free and open sharing of information and ideas. And I think a community like this shares that same value, and it's a really wonderful thing to be a part of, so consider it. The other thing is, my name is Mike Szczys, I'm managing editor of Hackaday.com, and I'm also here with Brandon Dunson, who organized this entire event. He's going to speak in a few minutes, and we'll give him a huge round of applause. But right now, it's Dave Anders.
Greetings, everyone. Give me just a second here. Almost ready. Let's see here. Just for reference, all the reference material and presentation information is at our website, which is which-e.org. My name is Dave Anders. I also go by Purple Plague on IRC and other media, social media, Google+. I'm an open source hardware advocate and software as well. I've been doing open source hardware and software for about 20 years now, mainly specializing in development boards. I was part of the OMAP project for the Panda board, primary architect for that. I'm currently with Intel working on the Mental board project. I did the major portion design of the Mental board Max. And one of my personal interests is open source tools, JTAG debuggers or logic analyzers, or open source oscilloscopes, things like that. And during my study of how to create these tools, I really became fascinated with the history of where these tools came from. And that particular interest in the history of these tools actually led me more into the history of computing in general. How did we make the leap between mechanical adding machines and actual computing devices? And most people who are looking at the history of computing will find that most of the computers that were in existence between 1945 and 1955 simply don't exist anymore. So understanding how we made that leap is fairly difficult. There's some documentation out there, but it's almost like an archaeological event to try to find this. So I've been doing a lot of studying of the history, and a few years ago, actually in 2010, I discovered the Harwell Witch. This is actually a computer that was Started development in 1949. It was actually completed in 1951, and it was actually used to make calculations for nuclear weapons and nuclear yields for reactors. And after it was used for their particular application, it was actually given to a university to be used as a teaching machine. So what's interesting about this machine is it's actually a decimal-based compute. Up until about 1965, most of the computers in the world were actually decimal-based, not binary-based. It was designed for reliability, which means there's double and triple redundancy checks in the way the wiring is done to make sure that a relay actually worked, that the cold cathode devices actually worked, and when a switch was connected, that all of the sequences actually happened. It actually uses 810 decatrons, and this is arranged in 9 storage units, and each storage unit has 10 registers, and each register consists of 8 decimal digits and a sign, either a positive or negative sign. It is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest original working computer in the world currently. And the computer is actually on display at the National Museum of Computing at Bletchley Park, where it's on display every day. It's operated every day that the museum is open. So it's actually being run, and programs are being run on it. It's an absolutely fascinating machine. So I fell in love with this machine when I first saw it in 2010, and immediately decided that I wanted to know more about it. And I started volunteering with museums specifically so that I could work with this particular machine. So one of the things that I wanted to find out about is decatrons. These are basically cold cathode counting tubes that were specifically designed to do decimal counting. They're very similar, if anyone's here familiar with the 7400 series or the CMOS series, it's very similar to a 4017 Johnson decade counter. It simply counts to 10 and starts over again. And so it's a very interesting technique. And so I was looking at this, I realized that, you know, it is just a decade counter. This is something that I could replicate with modern electronics. So during all this process, there's so much information, I decided I want to start a project to start documenting this machine. It is just absolutely fascinating. So what we did, we started a project called the Which-E, and the E is educational. So our goal here is to document every piece of this computer. Schematics, programming, methodologies, notes, repairs, anything that we can find out about this machine. And so what we did, we were able to get all the schematics released. We have now have high resolution scans of all of the schematics. We are going through and analyzing the design and replicating it. We also created a web-based emulator so that you can actually go in and actually program and write programs for the Which itself. And we have a large collection of programs that people have converted over from Texas Instruments graphics calculators to actually use on this. In addition, we've also gone through and started a replica project to replicate each one of the sections of the Which in actual modern technology using 7400 series. Down here at the bottom, you can actually see one of the documents that we restored. The schematic on the left is a scan document, and we actually had a graphic artist go through and recreate line by line, circle by circle, all of these schematics. So these are being restored as we speak. And again, I've got a screen capture here of the online programmer. You can actually go to our wiki page and link to it. And for the replica section, we are actually creating small modules that are standalone modules that represent specific sections of the basic computing principles that are implemented in the Which. And they're designed to be standalone educational piece. So you can take one piece and learn something about computing technology just with that single piece. And it's designed also to be easily hand assembled so that it can be part of a classroom. So to finish this up, normally this presentation is about an hour and a half, and I've squished it down into 7 minutes. I have demos of some of the Decatron. I have an actual Decatron in the other room. I have some of the modules and some of the information, such as a replica of the relay ROM that's based on the system. And so basically, to summarize, which is a fascinating machine. I mean, it's just a wonderful piece of history to look at. It still has a lot to teach us. Its teaching days are not over yet. And I think it's very important when we run across a piece of computing history to document it and work with it so that we can keep this history moving forward. And our project is open to volunteers. Specifically right now we're looking for people who have skills with mechanical engineering, because we do need to create some replicas of the tape readers. And so if anybody that's interested, please contact us through the website. Thank you.
So next up we have Dave Anders. If you want to, I'm sorry, we have Bradley Mahurin, and up on deck. No. Oh, he hasn't been here yet. Then you're up, Brandon. And after Brandon, we're going to have Sky Spencer. So Sky Spencer is on deck. So for those of you who don't know, Brandon Dunson is a Hackaday writer, and he's been really cranking out some great stuff. He just wrote a wonderful article on how people that learn information and are kind of standing on the shoulders of giants before them have an obligation to pass that information on and pass that learning on. And part of that is he's starting a class here at DMS that he's going to talk about as part of his presentation. Please welcome Brandon Dunson.
Like Mike said, my name's Brandon, I write for Hackaday. I also work at Tanner Electronics, and I'm a student at University of North Texas. I also was part of a project called GoCupy, which is a draw bot with another member here at the DMS. I did the hardware and he wrote all the software for it. Let's see. So Hackaday.com is it's an entertainment for engineers. It's a blog for the most part. Entertainment for engineers and engineering enthusiasts. Every day we feature projects from everywhere on the web. See, how many people in here have been on the blog before? All right. Had a project featured on the blog? More than one. More than two. More than five. Dang, Luke. I wish Dave was still in here. I could do more than 10. So I think Dave's been on 15 times, if I remember correctly. It's pretty. Dave's the one that was just up here.
Why doesn't he work for us?
I don't think we can afford him. So the Hackaday I/O is where we have our community. We have project storage. It's where people can collaborate with. Oh, I didn't start the timer on myself. How do you like that? Yeah, people will collaborate on all kinds of projects. Currently, we have over 120,000 users and over 10,000 projects. Woo! Yeah. One of the ones that I really like, one of the projects that I like, is the Hacker Channel, which is really a chat that's set up. It's 24 hours a day. It's going. There's always someone on there. You can ask questions about your project or just kind of hang out and talk. Another good one is the Traveling Hacker Box. It's a Harbor Freight, like aluminum toolbox that's got just tools and stickers and all kinds of goodies in it. And it gets shipped around the US in a flat rate USPS box. And there's about 100 people on there. I'm at the bottom of the list, but I'm hoping to get it here at some point. I think you gotta know somebody. Hackaday I/O is a great place to organize a project. You can share schematics, bombs. There's a file viewer, so you can put PCBs up there, 3D prints, and you can see them without actually having to download them and use the software. This is what a feed might look like. This is actually from Sophie. These are all her projects, and she's admittedly addicted to using it, so you may not have quite that many on yours, but it's possible. So the 2015 Hackaday Prize, there were 13 global events and entries from all over the world. The top 3 countries being the US, Germany, and India. And we wanted to harness the power of Hackaday community to do some good in the world, so we asked you to make use of your skills. Sorry, I'm reading this because I did not memorize it. By creating a project to solve serious issues. The response was over 900 projects submitted in less than 9 months. So you can see some of the sponsors there. That's it there. So this is the one that took the grand prize, the iDrive-O-Matic. It's a wheelchair for quadriplegics. It's driven with just the eyes. Pretty inspiring, pretty moving at the award ceremony. It was emotional, to say the least. Second prize was Open Bionics, which is robotics for amputees. And third place was Vinduino, an irrigation system for vineyards in Southern California. It's saving people up to 25% water on their vineyards right now. The Hackaday Prize reaches a large audience. You can see here that BBC picked up the winners. We also have it on the AtMel site, and 3dprinting.com, I believe, also picked up some of the Open Bionics stuff. And even though the Hackaday Prize is only a few years old, it gets a lot of exposure on the net. It's already being talked about quite a bit. We only started it this week? Monday. So, that being said, right now is the design phase. There's going to be 5 phases, is that correct?
Yeah.
5 different challenges right now. The first challenge is open until April 25th. All you have to do is submit an idea, a drawing, and picture. So you don't have to produce any hardware yet. And the top 20?
From each phase, yeah.
Top 20 from each phase are getting $1,000 to kind of fund the project. And there's also an area where you can go on and look at projects that have already been submitted, and each like that they get is $1 to their project at the end of the first round. Up to $4,000 total and $200 per project. So quite a bit of money to seed the project and get it started. To be honest, I haven't read a lot about these next ones. Maybe Mike will do these later. But it's all on the Hackaday.io or Hackaday.com/prize page. I believe that the rest of them are actually building projects and submitting prototypes.
Yeah, do you mind if I?
Go for it.
All right, so here's the deal. There's $300,000 in total prizes. The grand prize is $100,000. That's not very creative. So you can build anything you want. The last 3 phases are a lot more specific. So if you're an engineer that needs constraints, these are the phases for you. Number 3 is citizen scientist. So it's like build some lab equipment. In the first year of the Hackaday Prize, somebody built a Raman spectrometer that you could 3D print. You had to buy the optics for it, but it was like $10,000 less than buying one commercially. And if your lab's choices don't have a Raman spectrometer or build one yourself, you're always going to find someone to build it themselves. The 4th challenge is automation. So if you like building things to do chores and tasks for you, that'd be a great one. And the last one is assistive technologies. Like Brandon mentioned, that wheelchair add-on that lets people with ALS drive their electric wheelchairs with their eyes won last year. That's an assistive technology. So things that kind of transform people's lives and make them a little bit easier. In addition to that $150,000 first prize, there's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th prizes of $25,000, $10,000, $10,000, and $5,000. So lots of cool stuff. If you're already working on something, definitely enter it. If you have an idea, now's the time to enter it. And if you've ever wanted to work on something but need someone else to help find the skills, we can hook you up with those people. So check out Hackaday.io for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. We just launched the Hackaday Prize for this year at South by Southwest, and we also have Hackaday Belgrade coming up, which is going to be a 10-hour, is it 10 hour? Somewhere
It's like
around
16
there.
hours.
16
I'll talk
hour.
about that.
One day hacking conference in Belgrade. Let me see if I can get the, we didn't test the audio from here, but we have,
We made a video
yeah, wait for
all
it.
by ourselves.
Wait for it.
We might have to play the video later.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my contact info and the Twitter feed, Twitter handles for Hackaday. think we actually have more than 3. But, and if you want a project on Hackaday, use the tips email, and then have your project featured. You can do it through IO, but you can also email Nora. And if you want to host a meetup, the like. And that's all I got aside from the video, if we can get that.
I like your video.
Everybody just
Watch right here.
Woo!
Are you gonna play it? Or you want to play it later? Maybe we can play it at the end.
That's fine.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we'll work it out and we'll play it at the end. Gotta get a big round of applause for Ryan. All right, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I love talking about the Hackaday Prize. It's really quite amazing. So come and be infected by my infectious love of it. So I'm really stoked that we're doing a huge prize again this year. So the first 2 years we gave away a trip into space, although everyone is so pragmatic, they don't take the trip to space, they just take the cash. So we're doing cash this year, but that's fine. Up next we have Sky Spencer.
What's wrong with people?
I know, really, you should go into space. So Sky Spencer, if you want to come up and get ready.
I got my question answered. I was just going to ask a question. Someone's already answered it. So.
Oh, so you're already done. Oh, all right. So Nick McCarthy, are you ready to speak? So Nick McCarthy is going to come up and get ready.
I guess so, yeah.
And on deck, we're going to ask Ken Purcell to be on deck.
Grab some visual aids.
Absolutely.
Give me 2 seconds.
No problem. I'm going to do song and dance to clear the dead air here.
Play the video.
Yeah.
Visual aids are here.
Google Cast? Chromecast? Oh, is there a Chromecast on there? Oh, sweet. Okay, so we'll work. That's good. We'll work on that.
Sure, I'm just going to wing this.
In your call.
Oh. All right, hey guys, I'm Nick McCarthy. This is a lovely screen here. I'm going to pull up flighttest.org. So I'm going to talk about my love. Oh, flighttest.com. I don't know my URL here. So I'm going to talk about RC airplanes. I was just walking in to finish building one, and Mike caught me and said, "Hey, talk about those." And I said, "Cool." So it's a passion, a hobby of mine. Remote controlled airplanes are really cool, really fun, and the hobby is becoming really, really cheap and really accessible. So in the past 10, 20, 30 years, you would have to build an RC airplane out of balsa. You would find some plans in some magazine. You would trace them all out on balsa wood. It would take you months to build it. You would cover it. It would look beautiful. You'd throw it in the air, and it would hit the ground and turn into splinters. and that was how a lot of people entered and exited the hobby. Everything has changed. We've got this amazing new technology called lithium polymer batteries. So they're really cheap, really easy batteries. We have really small brushless motors. We have lots of cool things. I'm going to show you a couple of airplanes here that I've been building and flying. And I've been teaching some classes here at the DallasMakerSpace to show people how to do it. These guys called Flight Test, F-L-I-T-E test.com. They have like 30 different planes they've designed, all made out of this material, which is Dollar Tree foam board. This particular airframe costs $2 worth of material, so this is 2 sheets of foam board. You can buy laser cut planes from them and assemble them yourself. You can download the plans and trace them out with an X-Acto knife or cut them out, or my favorite, come here to the Makerspace, throw them on the laser cutter, and 6 minutes later you have all the parts you need to make an airplane and you can hot glue it together. So this plane is $2 worth of foam board, which is great because if you do crash this thing, your electronics are probably going to survive. I've actually just brought a whole bag worth of electronics here because my last one, I was having a lot of fun. We set up racing gates, flew through them. I got a little low, I hit the ground, crashed. Probably could have glued it back together, but I said, hey, I'll just build another one. So the electronics to make one of these are really, really simple. I'll show you. This is the bag of all the electronics that go into an airplane. And it's really cool, really easy to make one of these things. So I just wanted to show these off and kind of introduce people to the hobby if they're not familiar with it. So I wanted to dump everything out on the table here. Cool, so we got really simple little, this is a brushless motor. These things are like 10 bucks, 15 bucks, that's all there is to it. Little electronic speed controller to go with it. Little hobby servos, these things are anywhere between 2 and 5 bucks. You have 2 of those in one of these planes. The really cool thing is, and what a lot of guys are doing now, is called FPV, first person view. And so this is a little micro camera, 10 bucks from China. And this is a little video transmitter, about 20 bucks from China. The 2 of these things together for 30 bucks give you live video from your airplane. So as it's flying around, we send the live video back to a set of goggles we put on our face, and we can fly and see as if we're sitting in the airplane. Where it gets really fun, where it gets really fun is when we get a whole bunch of these out in the field together and we start racing against each other. So just like you've seen the quadcopters racing around, there's a huge growing hobby of people racing RC airplanes. These go really fast, and it's a lot of fun to set up like obstacles and fly through them and set up laps and circuits and race with each other. So it's just a really cool, really fun hobby, and it's really easy to get into nowadays. A lot easier than it has been in the past. In addition to just being a hobby with airplanes, it's really easy to add a flight controller into one of these things and turn it into an aerial robot. So here's a little larger plane. You can see the brushless motor on here. This one I've crashed a couple times and I'm putting it back together now. But there's a lot of really, really cool, interesting things you can do with these and turn them into a robot. So for about 100, 200 bucks, you can put a flight controller here. A common one is called the Pixhawk, and with that, you can suddenly turn it into a robot in the sky. So you can actually launch it in autopilot mode. You can throw it in your hand with the motor turned off, and as soon as it leaves your hand, the motor will turn on, it'll take off, take to the skies. You can control it from your laptop, tell it where to go. If you have like a field you want to fly over, you can set the perimeter, hit go, and it'll do like lawnmower, neat rows up and over it. From there, you can have it even, you can put a point-and-shoot camera in one of these things and have it take pictures every like 2 or 3 seconds as it maps over the area. Since your pictures have overlap, then you can feed those pictures to the software and create a whole 3D map of the entire area you flew over, which is really, really cool, really useful. There's a lot of industrial uses for these. So a lot of the stuff you see with drones, you can do with airplanes as well. As long as you don't need to hover in place. A fixed-wing aircraft is actually better because you've got a lot more battery life. Your aircraft's actually generating lift, unlike a quadcopter which constantly has to fight against gravity. So that's just a really quick talk on RC airplanes. If you're really interested in this stuff, or if you want to get started, Flight Test has really, really good information on like how to get started. They have like everything you need to know to learn to fly quadcopters or airplanes. They have all the plans for this plane and a whole bunch of others. They have a web store where they show all this stuff off. They even have like a meetup they call Flight Fest once a year up in Ohio, where these guys are from, where you can go hang out with a whole bunch of people that are enthused about this stuff. Do any of you guys fly, by the way? Any RC pilots? 1, 2. We got a couple. So cool. Thanks, guys. I didn't even time myself, but I'll take like 1 or 2 questions really quick, and then I'm gonna take off. Okay, cool.
What's your battery life?
Battery life, yeah. So with airplanes, this little guy, I put a motor in here that makes it go really fast, and I get about 5 minutes of time. I've got a larger airplane, like I was talking about, one that you can put a camera in and map with it, and have an autopilot. And I've got a larger battery. That thing's in the air for over an hour. I've seen some RC airplanes that are even bigger. People will be in the air for 3 to 4 hours, which is unheard of with quadcopters, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, the camera that you were using, the camera module you were talking about, you know, the transmitter side.
Yeah, this little camera. Yeah, so this is like a little security camera. It's analog. It's not high definition yet. The reason we do that is because we want really low latency. And with any sort of digital video signal, you add latency into the path because it's got to transcode and do all sorts of things like that. So analog video to an analog video transmitter, although there are lots of people experimenting with putting things like Raspberry Pis on their planes and being able to transmit digital video through that, or some other technologies like that.
I just wanted to build a little robot that has something like that crawls around under the house.
Cool. You know, I saw an amazing thing. The scientist had, he took some of this FPV gear and he put it on a little robot. He builds these like special flasks that he keeps like in some storage unit behind his like workshop, and it's this like crawl space. We actually built a robot and has a little video camera that goes into the crawl space, and when somebody buys a flask, it like grabs it and he pilots it out of there using stuff like this. So yeah, that's definitely doable. Cool, thanks guys. Yes, sir. Awesome. Yeah, let's do it.